going?
Yeah, you're going.
Oh, okay. Hi! You came back. I think. I don't know. Unless you hit this link by accident. But anyways. So today, I'm going to show you one of my favorite toys. I wanted to mix it up and do something a little different. So we will get back to listening to records and stuff, but I wanted to show you my toy. So this is an Arturia Keylab 88. 88 because it has 88 keys. And this has something called weighted keys, which is actually very important if you're in the market for getting a piano. You could either call this an electric piano or a synthesizer, but it is not a keyboard. A keyboard basically, well, technically this has a keyboard, but a traditional keyboard, you can actually like put your fingers under the keys and they're very light. This has something called weighted keys, which means that it kind of gives you a little bit of resistance as you play, and it really simulates a real piano, the feel of it. I'm gonna turn it on. I didn't want to turn it on without you guys either, so I have it hooked up to my laptop, and it runs off that. So here we go. Alright, now I can't play it without speakers, so I gotta find my way back here. There we go. These are my JBL speakers, and I love them. I was gonna go with either these or this other brand called Rocket Dog. I think it's called Rocket Dog. It's been a while now, so I forgot about the name of that one. But that's another really great brand, if that is the name of the brand I'm thinking of. So this isn't the kind of piano where you can just plug in and play, or if it's an acoustic piano, you don't plug it in. I hope everyone knows that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my programs, applications, because it has to run off. Now I have all of these lovely sounds, but my favorite to run off of is the Analog Lab 4. The amazing thing that I love about Arturia is that the sound that it generates is so close to the real thing. I'm getting ahead of myself when I say the real thing. Look at you bouncing up and down, taking your time. Well, all these people are waiting. It's shy. Maybe if while you're watching, you close your eyes, it'll feel like it's safe to open. All right, so I'm going to tell you about what we're going to hear. Within this lovely program that won't open, there are a multitude of sounds that come from instruments that physically do exist. There we go. It's beautiful. So I am going to, this is one of my favorites, the Prophet 5, but we're not talking about that one today. We are going to talk about the DX7. The DX7. Now, when I say that these instruments physically exist in real life, you can purchase a DX7. They're a little hard to come by because it's a highly sought after sound. It's one of those sounds that is responsible for one of the main feelings of sound that you heard in the 80s a lot. And I would actually challenge you, because we're going to sample all these sounds that come from the DX7 that I have access to. And backtracking just a little bit, when I said that I really love Arturia because the sound effect, this is not a DX7 keyboard, but the sound that I am going to play is going to basically sound like I have a DX7. Now I'm starting you guys off with this one because this particular keyboard that you see here, I remember when I was little, back in the 80s, my dad used to work for different companies that would hire him to enhance their technology. Companies like Roland and Yamaha. So he would go and he would take whatever piece of equipment they wanted enhanced and he would bring it home to our house. And I remember you really couldn't go out into the living room or the dining room. He would just have amplifiers opened and their guts everywhere. And he would just work on things, and he was kind of obsessed with that. But that's neither here nor there. I remember one day he brought home a DX7, and it was so much fun to play with. I remember just sampling the sounds, and I would just start laughing because it was so ridiculous, the sounds that I was hearing. And for those of you that don't know what a synthesizer is, it's basically you're synthesizing sound. It's like creating a sound effect that is not physically happening in the room. So I'm going to show you a sample of that. So this is the Yamaha DX7, and it's under the category of keys. So it's going to sound like a piano. But this is where you want to start challenging your ear. What exactly does it sound like? What kind of piano does it sound like? And that's where you can start really developing your ear and become more sensitive to all these different sounds. Because there's a lot of them out there in the world. All right, just gonna play. Oh, it's pretty. Something simple. I'm gonna turn it up a bit. I hope this, there we go. If you couldn't hear it before, now you can. All right, so that had kind of like a bell-like quality to the sound. And by the way, this was one of the top-selling synthesizers of all time. So highly sought after now. And I have it in my computer and my keyboard. So technically you can call this a MIDI device. And what MIDI is if you're not familiar with the term MIDI, you can just think of it like I play these buttons and it creates information that the computer can read and then generate back out. This is a brass sound. I'm going to turn the volume up over here a little bit. Oh, there we go. Turn that down just a tad. Now, here's where I like to really pay attention and make mental notes when I hear a sound so that I know how to discern one sound from the next. And when I hit this, on the high end, you can hear it's like a little bit more brassy. On the low end, it's a little bit smoother. And it gets a little bit crunchy on the high end. So, there are not as many adjectives that exist in the English language to describe sound as much as there are for things that we see with our eyes, or, you know, our sense of touch. You know, we have words like soft, we have words like, you know, crunchy. You know, if I say crunchy, you're probably thinking about like eating chips or something. But in music, we steal a lot of these words that really were not originally assigned to our sense of hearing, and we reassign them to our sense of hearing because this is how we best know how to describe it. So when I say crunchy on the high end, you can kind of hear that it's a little fuzzy, a little crunchy. So I use a lot of words because that's what musicians do. We use a lot of words that were not really meant for the sense of hearing. Moving on to the next sound. This is another bass one. This is asocial. Oh yeah. Now you can notice I've only hit the key once. And what it's doing is it's oscillating through that one note that I'm hitting, and it just keeps kind of rotating and going over and over again. So, have you ever heard this sound in like an 80s movie? No, I'm just making it up. I would actually like to challenge all of you. If any of these sound effects sound familiar, try to figure out what TV show or movie or album you're thinking of it from, because this particular synthesizer was used so much in the 80s. Odds are, if you're watching an 80s movie, they may have used a DX7, so be on the lookout for some of these. Okay, this one is called Green Leaves. Wait a second, that's not a DX sound. Where'd my DX sounds go? There we go. Lately bass. I don't know what you're doing. Slipping that one in. Oh, it's a bass, so we're going down here. Sorry about my ring. Added percussion. Another bass sound. This one's called Olympus, and it's a brass sound. You've heard this before. I was actually just having a conversation with one of my piano students the other day, and we were talking about how much sound really dictates and drives your creativity. Like, I could come up with a completely different sound effect, and it'll inspire me to play something completely different than what I just did. You know, you have to have your creativity always on the edge of your senses. And if, you know, you're feeling something, you're hearing something, and all your senses are like, yeah, I'm feeling this. You have to be like ready to answer that. If this is something that interests you, nothing I just played was that difficult at all. I was just really inspired and driven by these sound effects, these synthesized sound effects. So, that's it for today. Subscribe. It has to stay in one spot, right? I have my producer behind the camera. So here, this is where I want the subscribe button to go. So subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am trying to put one out every week, but you know, sometimes I'm busy. I don't know, not all the time. Thank you again for watching, and I hope that you enjoy our time together as I really find a consistent thing that I want to really pursue with my YouTube channel. For the most part, I'm just inspired by sound. And whether you are a musician, you're beginning, or you're seasoned, or you know nothing about music, I hope you can enjoy this and explore sound